And welcome back to Metropol Sports Center. My name is Nashon Oano. Time for us to delve into the topic of discussion of the day, that is going to be the Champions League and the CAF Champions League competition that is currently ongoing. We are at the semi-final stage of the competition, and the following is just how the teams are pitted against each other. That is ES Tunis versus Al Ahly and Wydad AC versus Kaizer Chiefs. As I mentioned in the first part of the show, it's seen as a battle of the North against the South. So it's going to be interesting to see which team is going to come out on top. And as I mentioned, our African football analyst is joining me in studio. That is Erick Shilenje. Shilenje, thank you so much for finding time to come to Metropol Sports Center once again.
Thank you too for having me here.
It's always nice having you on the show to talk matters African football. Now, Shilenje, the word going around is Chelsea fans now are asking to be greeted with two hands as a show of respect, given that you guys are the champions of UEFA. Quite an interesting game. The odds pitted Manchester City against you guys, but at the end of the day, you guys came on top of the whole competition. As a Chelsea fan, was that a performance that you expected from your team?
I did expect that in a final whereby Manchester City were pitted as the favorites, but you can see how experience can play in such a big games. If you go down the line in the history of Champions League, I'll find that it's very hard for first-timers to win the trophy. A team which is playing in the final for the first time, it's been really hard for them to win. It happened to Chelsea when they played the first final against Man United. They were the strong team in the game, but they were not able to win. Also, you can see the last edition, PSG playing against Bayern Munich. PSG looked strong, but again they could not win because there is a lot of psychological difference that comes into play between a team that has ever played and won a final and a team that is making a debut at the final. So though Man City were favorites, but going down the history and the experience, I knew that though Chelsea were the underdogs, but they were actually going to win, and you could see that in the game for them to emerge as winners. Yeah.
Let's talk about your manager, that is Thomas Tuchel. Tactically, what do you think worked out in his favor in that game?
Tactically, he has been playing that way since he picked the team at half season. He's been playing a very compact game, locking the midfield, where Man City are favorites in the midfield. Once Man City dominates the midfield, then you're going to be in problems. So what Thomas Tuchel did was actually to lock Man City out of the midfield. He packed the midfield, and he defended very well. So Man City lacked options. You could see them trying all sorts of ways just to penetrate the Chelsea defense, but it was so hard. They only managed one shot on target the entire game, and that shot came in the first half. So Pep Guardiola was a bit confused. I think he overthought himself. He really overworked himself until he decided to confuse his lineup, and that is how Chelsea and Tuchel was able to pick them apart in a simple way, just one goal, and they managed the goal, which is enough to win a final. In a final, you don't need to score many goals. You only need to win the trophy. So as long as you have a goal, you defend it well, that is a win.
Okay. Manchester City fans were criticizing the lineup that Pep Guardiola chose for that particular game. Do you think the lineup would have been better than it was for that game for Manchester City?
In some way, it could have been better, maybe just to enable Man City to create more chances. But I don't think, even if you could have changed the lineup to start with what the fans were expecting, if it could have troubled Chelsea so much, because Chelsea have beat Man City twice prior to the final in successive games in a period of 3 weeks. So it really shows that Thomas Tuchel knew Man City well. He knew the tactics of Man City, and from the first game where Chelsea beat Man City in the FA, the same game plan is what Thomas Tuchel has been able to carry forward. And Pep Guardiola has also played the same way. And Guardiola is a manager who doesn't change his game, whether he loses or he wins. So trust me, if he could have changed the lineup, his team could have played in the same manner that the players were in the pitch played. And though they could have created some problems for Chelsea, but I don't think they're going to win that game if Chelsea stuck to their game plan.
Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of lineups, the biggest conversation that was there towards the end of the season 2019-2020, it had its own share of challenges. But the biggest development was the move by Aguero to Barcelona. From an analyst's point of view, how do you think that move is going to affect Manchester City, and how do you think it's going to benefit Barcelona? Because the reality is Barcelona are struggling right now. They're trying to patch up things. Atletico Madrid already took the trophy. Let's talk about Aguero's influence in those two teams. What do you make of his influence?
First of all, for him leaving Man City, I don't think there is a very big difference there, because he's already fallen out of favor with Guardiola. He's down the pecking orders. He doesn't play him. So it doesn't affect City so much, because they've already moved on without Aguero. You can see, like, the whole of this season, he's only played a handful of matches. He's only scored about 6 goals in the league. But Man City have been a monster without him. So I think they already planned ahead of his departure. And now for him going to Barcelona is a good move personally for himself. At his age, I think he's in a bracket where now he's going to play for glory, because he's already made a name. He's already achieved in football at Manchester City. So for personal, well, it's a good move. But in terms of improving Barcelona, that is he's gone there, but a bit late. He should have gone there maybe a bit when he was around 27, 28. That one could be a good move. He could have helped Barcelona to achieve their objectives. But at the moment, he's a short-term signing. He's only maybe going to play for them for he's signed 2 seasons. So he will play the 2 seasons. Maybe if he performs well, which I doubt, they can now renew his contract. But it's a bit late for him. It's a late signing. Barcelona are struggling. Barcelona is not a team that signs players who are 30 years and above. We know them for grooming players from their academy, and maybe signing just a few players to patch up the team. But now they are all over trying to sign anybody that they can find. So I don't think they are really going to reap so much from Aguero. In the long term, he might help them in one season alongside with Messi, but they are aging players who are moving out of the team. So in my view, Barcelona might have signed him as a bait, so that it can help them find another solution in the short term, that they'll be having Aguero. But it is not a player that is going to help Barcelona in a long time.
Okay. Why are you skeptical about the performance of Aguero? I mean, he's been stellar at Manchester City, at least for the games that he's played. Why are you a bit skeptical about his performance at Barcelona? I'm
a bit skeptical because if you look at his performance in the last 2 seasons, his performance has been going down. His numbers, the goals that has been scoring, has been going down, and it's not like to blame him, but you can say that age is catching up with him. He's 32, almost 33, and at that age, you find that a player's form usually goes down. So it's not like he's not playing well, but just by nature is going down, you know. and this is the time maybe he needs to go at lower leagues where the competition is not so high, where the quality of the game is not so stiff, you know, where he can a bit enjoy some bit of game time without having so much pressure. But at Barcelona, this is a team that is used to winning, a team that demands trophies and performance each and every season. They don't want to know whether you are who or who, but so long as they signed you, so long as you are wearing that Barcelona badge, you have to perform, and that is going to be a very huge pressure for Aguero. And that is at the age where players usually get so many injuries. You see in Premier League, he was very vulnerable to injuries towards his last days. So I think if he's not careful, he might carry the same injuries to Spain, to La Liga, and which is going to be a problem for him.
Okay. Yeah. The other biggest signing that people have been talking about is Ibrahima Konate from RB Leipzig to Liverpool. I wanted to get your take on how you think that is going to bolster the Liverpool squad. This past season, one of the aspects that has been detrimental to Liverpool has been the defense line. This is because Virgil van Dijk has not been there, so they've been losing a lot of, they've been conceding a lot of goals. The combination of Konate and Van Dijk, how do you think that combination is going to work out, and do you think it's going to work in their favor next season?
First of all, I think it's a coup for Liverpool because Konate is 21 years old, playing for France under 21, and getting him for 36 million pounds. I think that is a coup for them. He's a player who has proved his credentials at RB Leipzig, and he's been linked to so many other clubs, just apart from Liverpool. So many top clubs in Europe were going for wanted to sign him, but Liverpool, I think, went ahead and did the business early. So he's without doubt coming to improve Liverpool, because Liverpool had so many problems this season since they lost their three first team centre backs, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez and Matip. And when he comes in, I think he's a player who can walk straight into the Liverpool lineup. He can partner with either of those three centre backs, and I think he's going to improve Liverpool, because the only problem this season was the defense. It was so leaking. They conceded so many goals. Had they had a better defense, perhaps they could have finished better than the third position. And I do believe that Ibrahima Konate is really coming to improve Liverpool's defense.
Do you think they're going to feel the impact of Gini Wijnaldum leaving the team? Because Wijnaldum has been linked to Barcelona as well. Do you think that is going to affect Liverpool a lot?
First of all, Wijnaldum has not left, but it is believed that he's in talks with Barcelona for a free transfer. We don't know if it will materialize yet, but if it does, I don't think it will be a very big setup for Liverpool, because they have so many options in his position. They have Henderson, who plays in the midfield. They have Thiago, who can also play in that position, and I don't think they'll have any problem to fill his gap. Yes.
Okay. Shilenje, we are going to look at the sports facts just before we take a short commercial break. We are going to continue the conversation on the CAF Champions League and the current hullabaloo that is on the KPL, because they're supposed to be submitting a list to CAF by 30th of June. So it's a rush against time. Now, on today's sports facts segment, you're going to be shedding spotlight into the game that is UFC. Now, the following are just some of the things that you need to understand about the UFC. Up until recently, New York had banned all the UFC activities up until 2016. That is when the state of New York City officially made it legal to have UFC competitions. Now, the iconic octagon ring, as it's called, was created by Jason Carson, and it is said that he got it from a Chuck Norris movie. Now, Anderson Silva has the record for most KOs inside the octagon. Now, the UFC belts are made with real gold and cost $333,000 worth of gold. Now, many UFC greats took up MMA as a self-defense against bullies. That is the likes of Anderson Silva, just to mention but a few. Now, this other fact is going to intrigue you. Now, the former US president, that is President Theodore Roosevelt, was trained in judo, wrestling, and boxing, some of the central components of the MMA. Now, Bruce Lee, the actor, is often recognized as the first mixed martial artist in the US. Most of the times he is considered as the grandfather of MMA. Now, finally, we have pankration was the earliest competitive form of MMA and can be traced back to ancient Greece. It was introduced during the Olympic Games in 648 BC. Quite a game that has started from a long time and is still growing on at the moment. There have been a couple of matches recently in the UFC that have been the subject of conversation, especially during the whole time of COVID-19. The current president of the UFC, that is Dana White, is seen as a visionary who has helped to transform the UFC to what it is today. Now, with that sports fact segment, we take a short commercial break. After the break, I'm going to be back to talk about matters the Kenya Premier League and the CAF Champions League. See you after the break.